Okay, guys, just wanted to do a video for you guys to start the week. We did have a nice candle on the US 30 to sell at the end of the week. We'll see how that ends up. There was a nice candle right there. We are at a pretty significant level right now at 33,999. Obviously, 34,000 area right here, which was a resistance level and support level from these areas here. So let's see what it does when it opens. If we close down below, then pull back, then we can go down to here, potentially down into here again. If we start rejecting this area, right, then we look for the buys up to the upside, and our upside targets would be back at the 34,180 level and then the 34,255 level. With all the news coming out though in the United States with the taxes going up, I really do think we're going to start seeing that fall. But the mistakes I've made in the past is assuming what the US 30 is going to do during the week. So again, if we look for a break below here, pull back to here, we sell down, and then this would be our first target at 33,883, and then potentially down into here, which would be in that 33,600 area that we kind of tapped into a couple times last week and we couldn't get through, didn't make progress. And then obviously you just keep moving it down, right? If we start getting rejections, we could possibly sell all the way down into there. So just look for your next areas of support. If we break this, right, at 33,863, your next major level is 33,716 because of these levels here multiple times, right? And then if it breaks that, then you look at all this clean level down here, down into this level at 33.5. Okay, so just always use those support and resistance areas or the red lines that we're using to map out kind of what you want to do. So let's just review this one more time. It either starts rejecting here and we start going back up, and then these are our targets up here, or we break below the 34,000 area, pull back, and then your first target for selling would be down here. Your first, oh, that's a horrible. Your first, your second target might be down there, and then your third target ultimately down there. If we can get that, right? Your third target would be down in here. And then you're always moving your stops, right? You're always moving your stops into more profit. But that's the plan. So let's see when it opens here in a little while, how it reacts, and trade around there. And then obviously, again, to the top side, your areas would be the 34,180 and then the 34,225. Okay, so that's on the US 30. So always trade the pattern. And for those of you guys that are new, we do have a couple new people. The pattern is, if we're going to sell, we want a wick at the top of the candle with very little tail. So this would be a good example of the wick longer than the body. Now there's a little bit of a tail there, so that might be too much. But if we're going to sell, we want a wick at the top longer than the body, and then we're going to enter the sell at the opening of the next 1 hour candle. And this is just a little bit of a review for those that are new, or maybe we need a review as well. If we're going to buy, we're looking for a tail at the bottom. This would be a good example of a couple of them right here. And then we're going to buy at the opening of the next 1 hour candle. And if you'll do this research, and I tell my group all the time, and you guys that are new, I tell the group all the time, do that analysis, start circling every time you have a tail or wick longer than body, and you'll see that the accuracy on this is extremely, extremely good. Okay, let's do, we can do BTC too. We can do some Bitcoin. Where's your next level of support? If we drop, it's kind of hanging around here. Next level of support on Bitcoin could possibly be down at that 43 level there. So that might be some buying opportunities, or we come up above, right? We come up above, break that, then do that, we could buy, or if it breaks below that, we could sell. Okay, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on Bitcoin. You guys know how to do it. It works on crypto, it works on all of them. There's no difference. So, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. XRP, you guys know what I'm doing with XRP. I'm buying everything I can. Gold, we did have a massive drop, right? I still, again, am a huge believer in gold buys. So we either come down here to back down to 1773, we start rejecting, then we trade back up into here, right? Or we keep going down further. We break below the 1773, pull back to 1773, then trade it down to 1768. If 1768 breaks, then your next area would be down here at these lows at 1763. And if it breaks 1763, then you just keep going back, keep going down, right? We'll get rid of some of these levels up here for right now. We don't need them. If we break below 1763, then where is your next area? I would Let's see, let's try and find it, right? Well, no, never mind. Let me just do this real quick. Don't need that. Right there at 1758, somewhere in that area. And if it breaks 1758, then we're down in the 1728 area, down in here. Okay, so we don't need all of these lines, but right now we're in between the 1773 and 1793. So you have on the 4-hour, you have a nice rejection candle to the buy side. And I still want to be a buyer. So on the 4-hour, if you were to look at it, you would be buying. Your stop loss would be below this tail at 1768, probably somewhere down in here at 62, and you'd be shooting on the 4-hour for that range back up there at 1793. And I think that's what we're going to get. So be looking for those buy opportunities. But if we start breaking below and then pull back, then we look to these sell areas for our targets. Okay, pretty easy stuff. Not too difficult trades here. And we'll pull up the pound yen. I have a trade on the pound yen on this small account right now that's working out pretty well. And that trade was based off the pattern again. It was based off this pattern here, right? That tail was longer than the body. I entered at the opening of the next candle, and you get a nice move up. Okay, you're going to come up into a resistance level here pretty quickly at this 149.95. Okay, so if it comes up here and starts rejecting that level, we look for sells, right? If it comes up here and then starts rejecting, we look for sells back down into this area. Or it comes up, breaks above, we look by 30 or 40 points, we look to pull back, and then we buy. And then you've just got to figure out your next support levels, right? If you're in a buy and everyone's like, well, where's the next target? The next target is obviously your support and resistance. And the next one for me would be that 150.45 area. And that's based on this area right here, right? From April 14th. This is kind of the same thing here. It danced around it here. So you're always using those red levels as areas to get into trades, but you're also using them when you're in the trade to predict possibly where these trades may go. Because remember, all we're doing is trading probabilities, right? But the highest probabilities is that these currencies will turn at major support and resistance areas, right? They usually don't go to random areas and just turn around. Most of the time, they're going to turn around major support and resistance areas. And again, if you're new to the group, this one right here would be a perfect example of a buy signal, right? And then you wait for the next 1-hour candle, you get a nice move there. There's a great move, just like this one I got right now. There's the buy signal. You enter at the opening of the next candle, and there it is. Okay, sell signal would be a wick at the top that's longer than the body. Let me see if I can find, this would be a perfect one right here. Almost a perfect one, pretty close. This would be one right there. Has a wick longer than the body. And we don't want it to have much of a tail. This would be another example of a good buy. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about just a little bit today, and this might be a little bit more winded today, is momentum, right? You can see on the 1-hour, every time you get a candle close, those candle closes are closing higher than the ones before, which tells me that there's momentum to the buy side in the market, right? Now we'll see, but now the question is, do we have enough momentum to break above here? I don't know. It's the opening of the market here soon. We'll see, but always look for that higher lows, lower highs. And when you're buying, you're looking for higher lows, right? When you came up here, you started seeing lower highs, lower highs, lower highs every time. And then you get a little bit of an anomaly there, but then every time there, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Now it's starting to reverse, and now you're starting to see the opposite. You're seeing higher highs. Okay, so pay close attention to those higher highs and lower highs and align it with like something like that, right? You've got this here, you buy there, and then you're looking for that. The other thing that I wanted to just readdress with us also is momentum candles. Okay, let's use a hypothetical again and say you get into a buy right here on the GJ and it comes all the way up here, and you see this blue candle right here that has very little tail or very little wick. That's a momentum candle to me. That tells me that there's no buyers or sellers that are fighting each other. That tells me that buyers are still in control. This blue candle next to it tells me buyers are in control. And then what do you have on the next one? You have that rejection pattern. So you get some sellers that are coming, but the buyers are still pushing. Okay, so there's no real sign that that's a buy candle. That's an indecision candle. So you stick with what's working. Now right here, you would get the sell signal right on that one, but you don't get into the sell because you were in a buy up here. Okay, so again, for those that are new, if I'm up on this trade and I entered this trade at this level, if I enter at this level and I'm up on this trade, just because I get that sell signal does not mean I get into the trade, because I'm already up on a buy. Okay, so I get into this buy here and I finally start to get a sell signal right here, but I'm already up, 70 or 80 pips. So there's the sell signal right there. I don't get out of the buy trade. I'm just going to place my stops in profit and I'm going to wait. And it never would have mattered. Okay, you get a sell signal, it doesn't really do very well. Come up here, then you get another buy signal. Okay, then it goes up, comes back, tests that down a little bit, you get another buy signal. And then you're starting to see buy signal. Okay, and then you're not seeing rejection till right in this area. So again, never reverse a winning trade for a potentially winning trade. We never want to do that. We always want to keep our winning trades in, even if we get a signal to the opposite side. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Again, perfect buy signal right there. Enter at the opening, you would have done really well. Now it's not going to win every time. Every now and again, you're going to have losses. This strategy is about 85% accurate. So if we will just follow this, I know that the people that are doing really well right now are following just that simple pattern. And maybe some of the people that are struggling, we're struggling maybe because we're not following the pattern as much as we should be. There's no reason to be taking a trade unless a 1 hour candle tells us to do it based off the pattern. Okay, the pound Aussie actually had a couple last week that didn't work out so well with the pattern, but eventually it always is going to be about 85% over the long run. There may be weeks when it's less. There may be weeks when there's more, but overall it's going to be accurate the majority of the time. Okay, so some areas to look for on the GA. Possibly this area we're at right now, or maybe 178, 78, 65 for potential buys. If we break below here, right, if we start breaking these lows, then pull back, then you could also trade it all the way down to there with a little hiccup in this area, but you could trade it down to there if we break below. But if we pull back, give us rejection, then we trade up to here and potentially up to here and potentially up to there. But if we start breaking below these areas, then we want to sell at those levels, and those would be our targets. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for the week. Just like I always say, let the market come to you. Don't chase the market. That's what Jared always used to say to me. That kind of rings true to this day, is don't chase the market. Let the market come to you. Just sit in our tree. We're killers, right? We're hunters. Just sit in the tree and wait for the prey to come to us, and it will come to us. We just got to be patient. Again, I believe that the times that we struggle are the times that we're not following the rules of what we're looking for. I mean, even gold last week, as it was going down, you had several buys, and most of these buys even would have worked out as it was going down, right? Most of those buys would have worked. That would have worked. These two sells wouldn't have been great, right? And again, they're not going to work every time. This buy wouldn't have been awesome. You kind of get this down move, and you really didn't get any signals at all for me to do it, and it happened in such a short period of time. So again, on gold, let's look for that 1773 area right here for potential buys if we get the rejection. If we don't get the rejection pattern we're looking for and it comes down to here, look for the rejection here. But if it does something like this where it never gives us the pattern, then maybe it comes down to 1763, and then it finally starts to give us the pattern. Then we go. Okay, so just be mindful of trading the pattern around those support and resistance levels that we look for. If you do that, we're going to have a killer week. I know we're going to have a killer week. Usually we do have killer weeks. But if you're struggling, let me know, and we can spend some time one-on-one together if we need to. But other than that, let's just focus on trading the pattern around support and resistance levels and waiting for that 1 hour time frame. All right. All right, guys, if you have any other questions, just let me know. I will be around all week, and we'll talk to you again soon.